All right, now we're going to finish the final features on our workpiece. Those are the three threaded holes on the face of the part. We're going to have to introduce a couple more accessories on the, to get this job done. The first accessory is a parallel plate, a piece of steel that's been ground on both sides so that it has a uniform thickness. After wiping out the vise, I'm going to gently set this plate into the bottom surface of the vise. That gives me a nice flat surface on which I can place our second accessory, which is called a V-block. This is just a precision piece of steel that has been machined and ground so that all the external edges are very flat and perpendicular to each other. And there's a V feature that is machined into it that also is parallel to the external sides. So what this allows us to do is to set the V-block inside the vise. And now, if I put the cylindrical surface of our part against that V surface, it is automatically going to align the top edge, or the top surface of our part with the XY plane on the milling machine. Okay, so that's going to be important because that's the plane we're working in to create these three threaded holes. So I'm going to clamp it in that orientation. I'm also going to leave a little bit of clearance between the bottom surface of this shoulder and the top of the V-block, so I have room for my drill bits to drill through my workpiece but not collide with the expensive, precisely machined V-block. So I have the part clamped in there properly. I'm going to secure it with about 30 pounds of force with my vise quick handle. I'll put the handle back, and now we'll continue with the machining operation. The first thing we want to do is to load the drill chuck back into the spindle. So I'm going to move the part out from underneath the spindle. I'm going to make sure the spindle is raised and locked. Now I can insert the drill chuck. I can use the automatic controls to load it into the spindle using the power drawbar. Okay, now the drill chuck is securely installed. And the first tool we want to use is the conical edge finder. So I'm going to load this into the drill chuck. There we go. I'm going to move it over to the center hole in our workpiece. So I want to lower the tip of this edge finder into the center hole. And now I'm going to use the edge finder to find the center of that hole in the X direction and in the Y direction so that the zeros that we set on our DRO for this operation, they match the zeros shown on or rather the datums shown on our part drawing. I'm going to check speed range is high. I'm going to turn it on in the clockwise direction. I'm going to adjust my spindle speed to about 1100 RPM. I'm going to move in one direction, it doesn't matter which one. In this case, I'll move to the middle of the part. I'll turn it off. For the video, I'll displace the edge finder so it's a little easier to see what's going on. Turn it back on. I'll move into contact with one side of my part, starting in the Y direction. Once the edge finder kicks out, I'll stop motion. There it goes. And I'll set that as my Y0 on my DRO. Now I'll do the same thing in the opposite direction. Without moving the X-axis, I'll just move the Y-axis to the opposite side of the hole. I'll touch off, the eccentricity starts to decrease, and I'll keep moving very slowly until the edge finder kicks out on this opposite side of the hole. I'll stop motion. I use the center line feature, center line in the Y direction. It takes half that chord length, and now I know where the zero is in the Y direction. I'll go to that zero, and I'll repeat it for the X. I'll pick one side, I'll come over into contact with the side of the part, I'll wait for the eccentricity to decrease until it looks about perfect, and then very slowly I'll keep moving until the edge finder kicks out to the side. Oops, I missed it. Right there. I'll zero the x-axis. I'll do the same thing in the opposite direction. Checking to make sure I'm getting the value right. Nice and slowly. There's where it kicks out. And I can now use the centerline feature to take half of this chord length. The centerline, X this time. And if I move to that 0 coordinate, that places the center line of my spindle exactly in the center of my workpiece. Okay? Again, I always want to match the part datums, that way I don't have to do math, and there's less chance of making a mistake during the manufacturing phase. So we've got our zero set. We can move our part out from underneath the spindle. I can remove the edge finder, and I can load the center drill. We move over into position now for our first hole, which is at x0, y minus 0.75. So x0, close to it, y minus 0.75. I'll turn the machine on in the forward direction. I can adjust my spindle speed to about 1600 RPM. Come down gently, touch off on the workpiece. Now I have a target to put a little oil for the center drill. And come down, start my drilling operation. Okay, a little bit of drag, a little bit of force on the quill to keep the drill chuck from dropping while I'm moving to my next hole. The coordinates for my next hole are x, let's see, x 0.65, y 0.375. So positive 3/8, 375. And come down, touch the workpiece, apply a little oil, and I can center drill the next hole. I can move over to to positive 0.65, and I can drill the last hole. So create a target, add a little oil, begin my drilling, continuing the pecking motion to evacuate the chips. Okay, all the way up. I'll turn the mill off. Now we're ready to move to our next tool in sequence, which would be the tap drill. These holes are called out the same way. They specify the tap drill, so any good designer is going to do that on your drawing to make sure the manufacturer uses the correct tap drill for your material and for your threads. In this case, the tap drill is again 0.157 inches. So I've got my drill. I'm going to load it and return back over my part. Minus 0.65 inches. And I'm in location for the first hole. I'm going to put oil in the previous 3 holes we created with the center drill. I'll turn the mill on. I'll adjust our speed down to about 1500 RPM. That's the correct speed based off the speed chart for a drill bit. It's about 0.16 inches in diameter. And I can continue with my drilling. I'll use the pecking motion. And when I go through, I'll stop because I don't want to go further too far in air, or else I'll hit the top of my V block. I know I'm all the way through. I'll lock the quill all the way up, and now I can move to my next hole, which is positive 0.650 inches. Peck drilling. Okay, I can feel that it just broke through the surface, the lower surface of the part. So I'll bring it out, I'll lock the quill up, and I'll move into position for our third and final hole. X0, Y minus 0.750. And I'll drill it the same way. Pecking motion. I've already got oil in the hole, and I can feel I'm all the way through the part. So I raise it, I lock it, I turn the spindle off. Now I can move the part out from underneath the spindle. If you remember from the last sequence of drilling and threading, the next operation is to remove this drill, this tap drill. And now remove the drill chuck completely from the spindle. So I'm going to raise the spindle. I'm going to lock it all the way up. I'm going to grab the drill chuck and use the automatic drawbar controls, or the pneumatic drawbar controls, to release the drill chuck from the spindle. And I'm going to load the spring-loaded, or reload the spring-loaded tap guide. Okay, I explained how that worked in the last video. It goes in a 1/2-inch collet. So I load the collet. I load the spring-loaded tap guide. Now we're ready to move over the position of the first hole that we want to tap, or the first hole we want to thread, which is X0, Y minus 0.75. So approximately there. I'll load the 1024 tap into a tap handle. I'll put oil on the tap. I can even put a little oil in the holes. Now I'm ready to put my tap into position, but this part is extending further out of the top of the vise than the last one. So I need to lower the part a little bit. I need to lower the Z-axis. That should be good. And now I can put the tap handle between the tap guide and the tap inside the first hole that I want to thread. I'll lower the spring-loaded tap guide, and I'll begin the threading action. So again, I thread until I feel extra resistance, then I back up about 1/2 a turn. I continue in the clockwise direction, threading, and back up. Each time I back up, I break the chips into small pieces that can evacuate out of the small flutes that are manufactured into the cutting tap. I'm going to lower the spindle to keep the tap guide in contact with the backside of the tap handle. I'll continue the threading action until I feel the resistance drop, meaning it's cut the entire profile of the thread, and right there I feel it. You can see how easily the tap rotates now. And I'm going to reverse the tap and screw it out of the hole. Okay, we're finished with the first one. We'll move into position for the second hole, which is X 0.65. Y 0.375. Oops. 0.375. I'll apply a some oil to the tap. Put the tap in place. And continue with the threading. Oops. Forward. If I feel resistance, backing up a little bit. Forward. Backing up. Forward. Backing up. Until we're all the way through the part. Okay, so I can feel the resistance just dropped. Now I can unscrew the tap out of the hole. And we are finished with that one. I can move over to X minus 0.65. And we can thread the final hole. Same sequence. We will add cutting oil to the tap. Insert the tap handle and the tap between the tap guide and the workpiece, and perform our threading operation. Stopping to reverse and break the chips whenever we feel extra drag. Okay, if we don't do that step, this is important. Aluminum is a very easy metal to machine. As you start designing and making parts out of tougher materials like steels or titanium, okay, if you don't adopt this practice early on, then it is very easy to break your cutting tools, to break the tap off inside the hole, or to break a drill off inside the hole if you don't use the peck method for drilling and the reversal method to break up the chips in the smaller pieces when tapping. Okay, so I felt the resistance drop. We're all the way through. Now we can unscrew the tap out of this hole. Okay, we're all the way out. Remove the tap and the tap handle. Wipe off our part. And that is pretty much a wrap. So we've done everything that we need to on the mill. That's the last feature that we had to cut on our part. The part is now 100% complete according to the drawing. So it would go to an inspection station where an independent party would check it to make sure that all of the feature tolerances fall within, or for all the feature dimensions fall within the tolerances specified on the part drawing. Okay, so that'll probably be an upcoming video where we introduce where we talk a little more about metrology. Okay, but for now, all of our threads should be the standard, should meet the standards because we used standardized tooling. We've talked now about center drills, tap drills, regular drills, reamers, taps. We talked about tap guides, the spring-loaded tap guide, like you see in the spindle here. We talked about the tap handle. And we talked about taps themselves, which are the tools, the cutting tools that actually cut the helical thread inside a female workpiece. Okay, so I think that's it. There's no point in watching the cleanup. The important thing is I'll remove the tool, I'll remove the tap guide from the spindle before I start cleaning, so there's no way I can strike my hand on it during the cleaning sequence. Otherwise, I think we covered everything that we needed to. The part is finished, and everything is well within the tolerances stated on the drawing. So this is the end of this video series on manufacturing the wheel hub for our assigned parts in the lab. Thank you.